liftoff for the 500th time from Gagarin's start, a rocket roaring into the air.
That rocket is a Russian Soyuz spacecraft that launched from Kazakhstan yesterday. It's headed to the International Space Station and carrying a bit of history. The first ever astronaut from Denmark is aboard. It'll take him, a Russian cosmonaut, and a Kazakh cosmonaut 2 days to reach the orbiter. Well, it's good to have you aboard for this Thursday's edition of CNN Student News. I'm your captain, Carl Azus. We're flying through 10 minutes of commercial-free current events. Spinning the globe, it looks like President Obama may have enough Senate votes to protect his controversial nuclear deal with the Middle Eastern country of Iran. We covered the details of the deal on our August 18th show. Congress gets the final say on the U.S. end of the deal, and it's likely that lawmakers, virtually all Republicans and a few Democrats, will vote to reject it. But President Obama has promised to veto that, and it would require a 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate to override that veto. Yesterday, it appeared that enough senators had announced their support for the deal to prevent that possible override. The Obama administration says this deal is the best way to make sure Iran doesn't build a nuclear weapon. Critics say it won't work, that Iran will still be able to build one in the years ahead. A CNN ORC poll in mid-August found that 56% of Americans said Congress should reject the deal, while 41% said Congress should approve it. From ochres to eagles, from the Ocean State to Oman, it's time to take roll. Starting in Coventry, Rhode Island, that's where the ochres are. Hello to everyone at Coventry High School. In Brandon, Mississippi, there's an educational center named Brandon Middle School. It's where we found the Bulldogs today. And in the capital of Oman, welcome to everyone watching at the American International School of Muscat. Great to see the Eagles. Polio is a viral disease that mostly affects children under age 5. It's often associated with paralysis, but that actually happens in less than 1% of cases. Most people who catch poliovirus show no symptoms. Those who do often have flu-like symptoms. Since polio vaccines became widely available in the 1960s, the disease has been wiped out from most of the world, not everywhere. According to the World Health Organization, Ukraine just saw an outbreak. It's Europe's first outbreak in 5 years, and it's left 2 children paralyzed. This particular outbreak started with the vaccine. Doctors say in rare cases, the weakened virus in the vaccine can mutate and spread, especially in areas where fewer people are already immunized. Only half the children in Ukraine are fully immunized. In one of the other countries where polio is still a threat, people are making progress against it.
We're in northern Nigeria to document what was once thought impossible, the potential end of polio here in Africa. And here in remote Kano State, that means vaccinating some 3 million children in some of the world's hardest to reach areas. We decided to go along for the ride.
In northern Nigeria, most villages are off the grid, without health care. Isolation that has enabled the wild polio virus, or WPV, to survive here, decades after its eradication in most of the world. This is also a region where insecurity thrives. A more than 5-year insurgency by ISIS-aligned Boko Haram continues to have devastating consequences.
Better health care and better security are absolutely linked. It is not surprising that the 3 countries on earth where we're still grappling with polio are those countries who have had a lot of unrest.
Eradicating a disease. It's only ever happened once before. That was in 1980, when smallpox was eliminated. But with polio, it's within reach once again. Since the global initiative began in 1988, polio cases worldwide have been reduced by 99%. The remaining endemic countries, conflict-ridden Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. The last push will be a challenge.
When you come into these communities, I mean, how do they receive you? Are they welcome you?
Yes, for the hard to reach, we don't have problem with that. People actually welcome it because we have other interventions.
What are we looking at here?
Now, this is actually a mark for the last campaign.
Close to Kaija settlement, Kulchu Mi Hamanero from the World Health Organization shows me exactly what going door to door, house to house in rural Nigeria really means.
So the check That's a good thing. That's
It's
what you're
a very
looking
good thing. It means that all the children there will receive their immunization.
with polio. I mean, is there going to be a finish date?
You know, all our indicators are showing us that we have covered grounds. Then we can now say, okay, we have reached a certain point, but we are not out of the woods.
How big a deal will that be, though? When that day happens, how important will it be?
I think it's a celebration for the world. Everyone is going to celebrate. Once you get Nigeria liberated from white polio virus and you have interrupted transmission, I think the whole of Africa, you have achieved a very great feat for the whole of Africa. And I think for the whole world.
Time for the shout out. Which of these U.S. hiking trails is the longest, spanning more than 2,100 miles? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it the Appalachian Trail, Buckeye Trail, California Coastal Trail, or Pacific Northwest Trail? Of these trails, the Appalachian is longest, passing through 14 states from Georgia to Maine. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
The fact that it can take between 5 and 7 months to hike it entirely is the reason why the Appalachian Trail is mostly used for short hikes. But after a Marine tank commander served in the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts, he found that the Appalachian Trail gave him and other veterans an opportunity to walk off the war. Sean Gobin is today's character study.
You take back a lot of things from war that you didn't think you were going to bring back.
I was just angry at everyone and didn't want anything to do with anybody.
It can be kind of hard. You just get kind of anxious.
You stop feeling, basically.
All three of my combat deployments were really intense. There was no time to cope. I decided to hike the Appalachian Trail because it had been a dream of mine growing up. I saw it as a personal challenge. But about 2/3 of the way, I realized I was processing all of these experiences that I had put away, and I knew that there were other combat veterans that needed to do that.
Hey, we'll see you all in about 6 months.
The Warrior Hike provides veterans with all the equipment and supplies they need to complete a long-distance hike. It's just like a deployment, except instead of going to fight a war, your mission is to be a civilian again. Just being in the woods out here, there's nothing to do but think.
There's internal quiet, and some of the problems that you're dealing with get hammered away.
Rose in the mist. Just being around other military is worth more than words can say.
How many years you got in now?
15 years. Our veterans also receive Trail Town support along the way.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? You can see how much they care. It helps.
We help veterans prepare for the next chapter of their life.
You're learning to take it as it comes and move on.
I'm looking for that sense of calm. Every step I take, I think I'm going in that direction.
Before we go, burpees for puppies. Okay, first the burpee part. This personal trainer shows what they are by doing them. A lot of them. He was trying to set a Guinness World Record for the most burpees in 24 hours. The puppy part. He was doing it to raise money for an animal protection agency in northern Nevada. The results part. Mark Zarubi bounced up more than 18,000 times, both setting the record and raising more than $4,000 in donations for the lucky animals at the shelter. Of course, he was probably dog-tired. Mai wanted a serious cat nap. Most would say doing that's for the birds. It takes a chinchillada effort, though afterward, you'd certainly feel like a beast. I'm Carl Azus for CNN Student News. See you Friday. Awesome.